Hello, my channel mammals. It's good to see you. I left my hymnal out here, and I have a little story to tell you, and it's partially in the hymnal, so I can't wait to share it with you. Let's go find a comfortable place to sit, shall we? Here we go. Follow me. Oh, well, here's my little buddy, I guess. Well, my friends, I want to tell you a story, and it has a moral to it. In the end, I'll tell you the moral, like they always do, the moral of the story. So, last week, Richard and I and Heather and Nils, our daughter and son-in-law, went to Atlanta, Georgia, and for our granddaughter Witika's graduation. And it was a very special graduation. And we had a very special time together. One of her professors gave her their house for the whole week and for the whole summer. So we were all together, cozy in the house. But we needed a few supplies. So I asked the neighbor, where could we buy some bread? And I'm used to being in New York, where you just run down the street or around the corner and you find bread. But in Atlanta, it's actually a driving city. There isn't very good public transport, and nothing's close together. There are just very few places, and you go a big distance. So when I asked the neighbor, where could I find bread? He said, well, there's a store that sells bread about 3 miles, maybe 2.5, 3 miles from here. And I said, oh, okay. Thank you. And I don't think he realized we didn't have a car. So Richard and I started trudging along for miles and miles and miles and miles. And the way we best did it, because Richard is slower in moving than I am, so that I didn't tip over when I was trying to walk at his pace, I would go ahead, and he would trail at his own pace behind, and I would stop whenever it came to a place where we would be making a turn or a change in some way. So I was sitting on a brick wall, an old stone wall. Everything's beautiful and old and overgrown there. And I was sitting there because a very important phone call came in. So I was engrossed in this phone call, and then I even hopped down off the wall and turned around, and I was still talking whilst I was looking at this beautiful garden. And I got this feeling that Richard had walked behind me and carried on, knowing that I was on a phone call. So by the time I got off the phone call, it was well past when it would have, I thought, taken for him to catch up with me. So I thought, he must have gone past me. So I trotted on down the hill, and I came into this little valley where the bread shop was. And I couldn't find Richard anywhere. I looked on the benches, I looked under trees, I looked up the hill to where we were going, beyond where we were going, and back the other way, and I just couldn't find him anywhere. And I started to become concerned. One was he didn't know the way, and the other was I didn't know which way to turn. Honestly, there was no human way for me to know for sure which way to turn. And the greatest fear that came to me, as far as fears go, it was that he would have given up and gone home when he didn't know the way, or he passed me and never saw me soon enough. And I just thought maybe he just gave up, because sometimes he does that. And I thought, okay, I sat down on a bench and I thought, this is not harmony. And I just had always known that we are always in the kingdom of heaven, harmony, and that we must remain there, or and really feel that ever presence of order. So as I was sitting there, the Lord's Prayer came to me. You know, the prayer, everybody has it on the tip of their lips. It's such a handy prayer. You know, our Father. That was the best entry to the prayer. God is our Father, Mother God, all harmonious. There we are in God's care all the time, all of us as one. And so, which art in heaven, harmony, peace, order, all the things that harmony and heaven stand for. Hallowed be thy name. In other words, God is head above all. We aren't just cut off from God, wandering around in the wilderness, not knowing which way, hither or yon. No, we are held in his grand plan of order and perfect peace. And then it goes on. It's hard to say that the Lord's Prayer in pieces like this. Let's see. I'll be like, thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom is always come, right? Thy will be done, not human will, not, oh, I have a will to turn back, or some other will, or based on fear or concern or loss or anything. Just know that God's will is always present, and it's all we can hear. It's all we can follow. And as in heaven, so on earth. As in heaven, so on earth. God is omnipotent. God is supreme. As I got to the end of the prayer, I just had this wonderful sense of peace, like I hadn't had until that time, even though nothing had apparently changed. So I knew it had nothing to do with the outer circumstances. It had to be being at one with God in my thought, which I was at one with God, like it or not, but in my acknowledgement. And when I did that, I felt terrific. And then the next thing that came was a hymn of joy. And that's why I have my hymnal. It's a hymn that all children in our church sing at home and in Sunday school. So we all pretty much know it by heart. But I'm going to give you the words in the description so that you can sing with me when you watch this video. If you want to watch this video. It's called Shepherd. And it says, I'll sing it. I'm not a very good singer, but I'll sing it just to get you started. Maybe just the first verse, okay? Then the rest we can sing together at home. Shepherd, show me how to go o'er the hillside steep, how to gather, how to sow, how to feed thy sheep. I will listen for thy voice, lest my footsteps stray. I will follow and rejoice all the rugged way. Isn't that perfect? I just felt so happy singing that familiar hymn. And the rest, the other two verses, I'll share with you also. They're just as rich as ever. Well, the next thought that came was, I need to ask somebody, anybody. But I didn't know who that buddy was because there really weren't many folks around at all. And just as I said that thought, I saw a young lady running down the hill that I had just come from with her blonde ponytail swinging in the, in the wind. And down she came and crossed the road. Normally I would never ask a runner for anything because I know they have a mission. They have to get up the next hill. And it's their time, alone and quiet. But I just was impelled to ask. So I said, and I was kind of trotting along beside her, trying to keep up so that she didn't have to stop. And I said, excuse me, but I lost, and I thought, oh, how silly. She's going to think I'm asking her about something she lost. I lost. So I quickly said, I lost my husband. And she said, oh. And she turned and was still kind of running in place herself. And she said, I saw him. He's right up on the other side of the crest. And I thought, I didn't even describe him. How did she know? And I realized she was part of God's loving angel plan. She was the one that I was meant to ask. And I didn't miss a beat. I actually asked her, even though it was against all my human, courtesies. I just boldly asked her, and she right away came forth with the answer. She just knew that that was Richard. And I thanked her. I said, you are an angel. God has sent you to answer my fears. And she smiled. It was like it made her morning too. And so I waited patiently, and over the hill he came. And you know what the first thing he said to me was? He said, I was tempted to go back, to turn back. And I thought, oh my goodness. This is just perfect, isn't it? And the reason I'm telling you this story isn't just because it's a happy little event that happened in my day, one day, but I realized that it's a big event. It's monstrous, because every time we stop and turn to our Father and Mother God, who's always with us, always, we just have to acknowledge God's loving presence, and then we can hear the ways we need to think about things. We need to maybe do something. Maybe we need to be just still and trusting. We don't know what it is that we're going to be guided to do, but if we're very, very still, we always know the way. And I just wanted to share that, because why it's so important to me is every time I actually am obedient to that, it's like a building block. And the next thing that comes to me, I seem to go to it more quickly. I go to the truth, and I go to God's love more quickly, I'm finding, as I grow up. So I just thought it would be great to share that together. And I'm sure you'll have a million stories to tell me. So I can't wait to get together. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. So long.